like he actually went out and talked to these different people and like really listened. Like initially he was talking about what he would do with Steel Challenge. I'm just like, I mean, he heard the feedback right away. It was like, people don't want to hear that shit about, you know, like what direction you want to put. Like, go ask them. And he asked them, and they really want their own RO program. And he listened to the multi-gun guys. And he's also talked to me. He thinks the key to multi-gun or 3-gun is the classification system, and he's right about that. So if they put out like a good classification system that adds value, then it would, it would build that up or give that a lot of credibility.
Well, it's some kind of unified, like the scoring is super broken anyway. Well, for some of the bad stage design.
Well, see, that's that's the thing is you can't, like you look at multi-gun scoring, you're like, yeah, it's broken. And I like hit factor for me, but I'm not a 3-gunner. So you got to like, I don't know, meet them where they are, sort of. I don't know. Well, maybe it's not something I give a shit about.
The scoring might not be broken if the stages weren't broken.
Yeah, I mean, it's sometimes. It's a team that works together. It's a package. Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, welcome to Practical Shooting After Dark. We're here to talk about shooting. I tricked you, bitches. Been recording for a minute. Anyway, I'm here to talk about shooting. On deck tonight, Mr. Kim.
Hello.
And Mr. Park.
Korean, but still American brothers.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, shit. The first thing we got to talk about is Mr. Kim is officially American now.
Yes.
Yes.
I got my citizenship. I'm proud to be American.
Can you stand up? Let me get a look at you.
Do not do it, Kim. It's a trick.
No, you don't. You're not heavy enough.
Talking about,
we got to get you fed before you can be American.
Well, we don't have to go into detail. This is what we're talking about. Like, Kim actually put a lot of effort into this. There was studying and a lot of paperwork, an in-person interview. Like, Kim actually went through a process and a lot a effort. He didn't just like show up and like pay the man, sign this paper, and off you go or whatever.
I'd have flown to Mexico and walked if I were you, Kim. If you want to do it the hard way, that's fine.
Yeah, you felt great to sworn in, like the oath of allegiance. Yeah. It was very exciting moment for sure. Yeah.
Oh, it was awesome.
That's pretty. Yeah, I mean, changing countries, I can't even imagine it, frankly. Like, if I had to, if somebody's like, "Hey, you're gonna go live in Korea now," I'd be like, "What the fuck?" Like, Jesus, it sounds hard. Sounds exhausting, really. Anyway, guys, you know the deal. We're here to talk about shooting. It's a good deal. I think I should open it up with the topics tonight because mine's, you guys know me.
Oh, I can't wait.
Look at the spice. People want to talk about the USPSA stuff. They're fucking.
Oh, they do.
Bringing on me all. They do. They want to know what to expect from the election, what to expect from after the election. So I thought I'd give them my thoughts, or a few thoughts, not all my thoughts. I have, as you know, there's plenty to say. I think the election itself, I think, is going to be very, very interesting. And I think there's going to be some surprises for people coming, which will be a lot of fun. They'll see that stuff coming later. But for now, it's enough to say that the coming USPSA presidential election is going to be, in my view, massively entertaining, and I think a little bit useful. And I think one conversation that should start at USPSA is the way that you think about like picking the right guy for representation. I think the way it's been done for a long time, like forever, is like, hey, the match director, dudes, those dudes are running everything. So then they just kind of like get together and they kind of pick the dude, like, all right, this is going to be like the head match director guy. And they think of that as, as like the more that you put in terms of ROing and CROing and match directing, is like, we're going to pick that guy for the area director role. Right? I mean, that's how we do things institutionally. Is that fair to say? Mm-hmm. And no talking from Joel. Yeah. Jesus. There's no spice yet, Joel. You can.
Oh, you're doing safe. Great.
It's maybe just coming. Don't worry. But and I think like for example, like Sherwin was on the board when we had 10,000 members in USPSA, and now there's 35,000 across multiple, like more than one discipline. And it's like the system with 10,000 members, it seems like now that things have expanded, you almost have to look at, it's like, again, the idea that, hey, somebody's been a CRO for like 20 years, so like that qualifies her to be an area director. Well, that's a fundamentally different role. Now as things have expanded, like you want somebody to be able to like listen to, I mean, really listen to, engage with, maybe put it this way, engage with member feedback in a real way. And like, and I don't mean by that, like respond to every fucking comment on Facebook. That's not what I mean, like by engagement. I mean, like actually look at the criticism or critique or feedback, whatever it is, think about it and engage with it in a productive way. Like,
or for them to actually understand how the internet works.
Well, I mean, sure. I mean, yeah, I don't think like, I don't really get offended or upset if somebody's like doesn't know how to do their webcam. Like for us, for this show, like we don't do any editing or have high quality audio or any shit like that. I don't think it needs to be that way. But I think just reading stuff, kind of take it for what it is, and then okay, like later on, put like, you know, engaging with it in a productive way, maybe putting out a statement like at the level of internet that I do, like I'm not like I kind of browse comments. I don't sit in there and like comment back on all this different bullshit. I just get a sense of what the like what's going on, and then if I you know if I think there's something that I like an idea that I want to respond to, then I'll respond to it later on, kind of in my own way. Like you don't need to be led around by the nose by people commenting on your shit. I think that's silly. But yeah, being able to engage on that level. Being able to understand rules and how they're written, like that's fundamentally different than being a range officer. A good range officer, I mean, that's a physical job. Like you're out in the sun. There's like, you have to pay attention very closely as everybody's shooting, that sort of thing. But I said, like writing rules and reading and understanding that stuff and then voting on rule changes, that is a fundamentally different task. And I think we should like look at that, think about that, and engage with that, like those ideas. You know what I mean? So a good example would be Bruce Six. Now, Bruce Six is a guy, I'll be honest, I have shit on him a fair bit recently. But I would say be nice about it. Like, Bruce has RO'd me on stages more times than I remember, and he's a very nice dude. Like, when you walk up to a stage and you meet Bruce Six, like, he's pleasant, he's nice to everybody. I haven't seen him making fucked up calls. Like, he's a good range officer, truly. Like I like the guy. I don't have a problem with him. But in the area director role, if he gets criticism or emails, like he doesn't. I mean, it's almost like if he gets a comment or somebody says something that makes him like he's not sure how to respond to it. He gets upset. Like it makes him feel dumb and he gets upset or whatever. Like honestly. He's not good with that. He's just not good at like fielding questions or feedback. The people that emailed him over the bylaw stuff were generally very unhappy with what they got back, that sort of thing. And then I end up saying, I'll be honest, like some pretty pointed feedback or maybe some mean things about him. But if he wasn't an area director, none of that shit would be an issue. Like I don't really care about any of this stuff. It's like the guy fundamentally, he's a fine person fundamentally. It's just he's not right for that role. And I think people are starting to look at this thing differently instead of it being like, oh, well, we're going to promote you from match director to area director. It's like, that's not really how it works. Like, it's not like the area director tells all the match directors what to do. It doesn't work that way. It's like the area director has a fundamentally different role and responsibility than those other people. So anyway, I think that's, like for me, that's going to be the primary conversation to be, hey, how do we pick the right guy? And it's like the old way of doing business of just being, hey, this guy's been volunteering for a while, so like we're going to make him your guy. You had the alternate candidate in the Area 3 election, Joel, it's a guy from your club who's, you know, cut from the same cloth. He's like, I mean, I don't know about him as an area director because he didn't get elected, but I would suspect it would be a Bruce Six situation where you have a guy who on a personal level, like, yeah, nobody has a fucking problem with the guy. He's like, yep, he's a range officer, volunteer, good dude, but just not right for that role. And honestly, that's something I think people should think about. Like if I was friends with Bruce Six, I would be like, dude, don't run. I would be like, you're not right for this role. It'd be like, hey, if Joel's like, hey, I'm going to run for USPSA president, it's like, well, Joel, you get uncomfortable when I talk about anything spicy on the pot. You probably are not right for that role.
No, it's
You know,
absolutely.
you
Yes.
see what I mean? It's like, I was like, as your friend, you're probably not right for that job. Because for me, I know myself, like I would lose my shit in a meeting. My language is horrible. I act unprofessional. I would not be a good elected representative. I wouldn't be a good elected dog catcher. I'm just not right for that role. You have to, you have to be honest about this stuff. And I think that would be helpful. After the election, I think is like, should Hopkins win? He's not a lock, but he's got a pretty good shot. Should he win? I think things are going to get even more interesting. He's got a pretty good platform. I know a lot of people think that it's my platform. The only thing I told to Matt is like, it would be good if you went with stuff that is broadly popular and easy to justify. Things such as, like streaming the meetings. Like, yeah, that's going to have broad popular support. So that would be a good thing to do. So like using that as an example, should Matt be elected, he can just put that stuff up and say, hey, hey board, this is what we want to do, is like live streaming the meetings, and then they can vote it up or vote it down. It's up to them. And either way, he's in a good position because he's going to he puts out the platform. He's like, hey, I'm going to try to implement these things. Then he puts it, and then he can put it to a vote, and either it gets voted up or voted down. But he tried to implement it, and then it's like it's up to the rest of the board if they want to do it or not. And I think Matt can go back to his voters with his head held high, no matter which way it goes, because he's just going to try to implement this stuff, try to build support for it. And if it doesn't pass, like that's fine, because like I said, he can be like, yep, it didn't pass because, as you can see at the minutes, these people voted against whatever, streaming the meetings. These people voted against more financial disclosure. They think you should have less financial disclosure, that sort of shit. Like that's a very easy position for Matt to be in. So that's what I see coming. And it should, like I said, I'm sure it's going to be entertaining. I'm
sure there'll be lots of conversation. Yes.
There's always conversation. It's always helpful. I don't, any comments? Ken, maybe you have something. You want to see the other guys' platforms for the.
Yes, for sure. I think, as we are recording this, Matt already posted his agendas. Mm-hmm. And I'm interested to see other candidates' agenda as well. Because yes, Matt Hopkins is my friend, but I don't want to opt out on him and not even care about other candidates, because this is really important to think critically and rationally. And that's exactly why I want to hear from other candidates, really talking about their agenda, and not just their agenda, actually who they are and what their thought process is. And I watched the episode of Ben and Matt talking about his agenda stuff, that episode, which came out early February, beginning of February. Yes.
It was a bunch of an episode. It was just like, hey, Matt, read this stuff. Like, what is this?
Yeah. But over there, I really hear how he's inclusive to multi-gunners, rifle shooters, things like that. And also, one of the very interesting thing I heard from him is about unifying nationals to have one true handgun nationals, kind of like that. But he wasn't like, hey, this is the only way USPSA can survive. He wasn't like that. He was like, I would love to hear from people, things like that. So through talking to him and knowing him personally, but also just through that episode of him talking about his agenda and thought process, I can see his critical thinking, rational thinking, and also being inclusive. So he's not stubborn. He's actually listening to people, and he wants to listen to people. That was one big critical thing. And he wants to have certain communication system to the members. And I want to know if other candidates have this characteristics in them, because as a leadership position, it's not only important to have someone with critical thinking, rational thinking, and also have agendas, but also wants to establish communication with the members. And I think that's really winning secret for great leaderships or great leaders.
I'll tell you what I told Matt. I gave him 3 things to do. I was like, if you do these 3 things, you're not going to be wrong. And it was represent the members. So he made his platform members first. So it's like, if you actually listen to people and represent what the members want, as a whole, You're never going to be wrong. Like, again, the example, like putting the video up of the meetings. Like, is that broadly popular with the members? Like, yeah, of course. Like, they'll be like, yeah, sure, fuck it, why not? Is that going to be popular with the establishment people? No. But is that popular with the members? Yeah. Like that, you know, that's fine. So it's like, if you're on the side of the members for your issues, you're never going to be wrong. If you tell the truth, even if it's uncomfortable for people, as I told Ben, it's just like, hey, if you don't know the answer to something, or if somebody says something that's better, just tell the truth. Or if you think something's wrong, if you tell the truth, like, the members are going to support you. And if you show backbone, you show a little bit of courage, because a lot of this shit is so uncomfortable for people. You know, it's so uncomfortable. Like, the shit that I say on the show on the regular at this point is so incendiary. It's so against the rules as far as the USPSA culture. Most match directors, is like, they want you like, show up, shoot the match, leave, and it's like, tell them what a great match it is. They don't fucking want to hear it if something's wrong. Now, you know me, like, if I go to a club match and it's fucked, like, I just don't go back. I don't come on here and like complain about it and try to like burn down the club. It's just like, okay, like, I'm not going to go back to that club. But as far as I'm concerned, if it's an area match or a nationals match and there's and there's an issue with it, you are weapons free, like, online. Like, say, like, if just talk about it, because that is, like, in the long run, that behavior is beneficial, even if it makes people uncomfortable or makes you unpopular.
Yes.
Yes, that
sounds like Abraham Lincoln.
Is that what he did? He let the club match shit slide. Oh shit. Well, I hope I don't end up like Abraham Lincoln, all shot in the head in a theater and stuff. That would be not awesome.
That would not be good.
That would be not awesome. Anyway, like I said, expect it to be a lot of fun. The meme should be good once it gets rolling. That's all I mean. Yeah, it should be excellent. But we're going to learn a lot. And what I think, you know, most of the listeners should do is just like open your mind, like really pay attention to what's going on. Like you said, Kim, like watch what the other candidates are saying too. I think you're going to see a few candidates that want the job just because they want the job. And they're not really running on anything. There's a couple candidates that I've been seeing online, and it's like, with the last 6 months of drama with the bylaw changes and all this stuff, like, they have nothing to say about it. One of them was just like, oh yeah, I'm trying to run a positive campaign. And it's just like, dude, if you have nothing to say about the last 6 months because you're trying to be positive, you're fucking dial tone as far as I'm concerned. Like, you should have an opinion about this. Like, the members certainly have opinions. Like, if you don't have an opinion, like, whatever. So you'll see some stuff like that. And then, of course, you'll see some silly opinions, as always. Yeah, should be good. All right, well, that's enough about that. All right, let's move on. Joel, you have something fun to talk about, I'm sure.
I do. I have a show and tell, but it doesn't really matter. I would say the dot's off, but the dot's covered, so it's kind of point shooting anyway. I want to talk about dry fire grip, what that actually means, and how that's a thing that's likely to happen this time of year. So, well, Ben, Kim, you guys have taught classes before. Right now, it's very cold where I'm at. Same thing for Ben, like, I don't want to go outside and train, so I'm doing a lot of dry fire training. And, I mean, as you know, in dry fire training, you don't have to hold on to the gun perfectly, you know, to have good repetitions and whip the gun out of the holster fast and load the gun and, you know, press the trigger quickly and all this stuff. But then when you go out to the range to shoot live ammo, all of a sudden you fire that first round, it's like crack. It's like, oh crap. And you decide to like hang on to the gun better, and you bite down on it. And then you notice, you know, the gun recoils more than you thought it was. And you kind of trained yourself to not hold on to the gun as hard as you should be if it has live ammo in it. Does this sound like a thing you guys have possibly seen before?
That's common, yes.
Yeah.
It's a thing that happens.
It is a thing that happens. So anyway, that's dry fire grip, kind of how you spot it. I think it's a good time, especially dry fire, where, I mean, I've shot a little bit, but there's not a lot. I'm not doing a lot of shooting this year, so being very critical of my grip, making sure I'm holding on to the gun hard with my support hand. And I even go to the indoor range and just shoot, you know, maybe not a ton of ammo, but just go, like I went with my girlfriend, just shot whatever it was like a week ago, just shoot a little bit, remember how the gun recoils, whatever. But anyway, I think it's a good idea, because you kind of like, oh yeah, that's right, I got to hang on to it and kind of kind of, even if you're not shooting a lot of ammo, just doing a little bit of marksmanship fundamentals and just verifying you're gripping the gun properly. So anyway, I think that goes quite a ways towards preventing that issue from happening. And then kind of just like this time of year when I'm not shooting a lot of ammo, constantly telling myself, hey, are you gripping this gun hard enough with your support hand? If you're firing live ammo, would you be ready to shred, or would you be, biting down on the gun a lot harder after you fire the first round? So it's an easy trap to fall into this time of year, though, where normally with the weather, like, people aren't doing a lot of training.
Yeah, that's actually one of the main reasons I do a lot of low or high ready at the winter time. Because when I do low ready or high ready, first of all, I'm not like drawing off the real holster right away. I actually establish the exact perfect grip I want to shoot with, and then shoot after that. So like by eliminating the draw process, I can start with a exact grip pressure, grip placement I want to shoot with, to basically like not overdo the bad reps. Because when I do draw, first of all, yeah, I may grip it wrong pressure, wrong position, so that I'm wasting a lot of ammo. So I think a lot of the winter time, I recommend people to just do high ready, low ready, whatever, but just focus on proper grip, proper trigger control.
So you're saying if it's cold enough that you have to wear a jacket and it kind of fucks with drawing?
Yes, that too.
The other winter tip I can give is don't pay too much attention to the time. So for example, if you're shooting like 4 aces, you're probably not going to lay down a personal record during the winter time for a lot of reasons. So don't worry about that shit. Like, train something else.
No, for sure. But anyway, it's easy to fall into that trap when you're not shooting live ammo regularly during the winter.
Yeah. I have.
Sorry.
Oh, are you done?
I was going to say that's possibly a thing that's happened to me before in years past that I've hopefully learned from. So sorry,
probably for everybody.
Yes.
I have a topic that could be educational. So one thing interesting I saw over the last year, especially even the pandemic, I've seen some Asian shooters actually come visit to the US and then shoot local matches. I know a couple airsoft shooters who personally visited here and shot USPSA local match and like do trainings and stuff over here. And then I get questions from like international visitors and also like just regular Americans asking me, hey, I have this local guy who's school at like Texas A&M, and he wants to get a gun and shoot USPSA. And I don't know, like, how can they buy guns? They're not citizens or no green card holder. I personally was a international student when I first came to the US, and I got a green card, and now I'm a citizen. So I was in a different status, so I wanted to share. This can be definitely helpful if any international shooters or fresh immigrants wants to shoot USPSA and they never bought a gun. Then you can definitely like help them to go to the right direction. So basically, anybody who's here with a visa will be considered as non-immigrant. So for non-immigrant and immigrant, which is a green card holder, permanent resident, it's a little bit different. Permanent resident, green card holders, fairly easy. It's very, very similar to regular US citizens, where green card holder just got to go to the FFL and then present their green card and driver's license. Pretty much the paperwork stays the same. For non-immigrant visa, there's now federal law and also state law they have to follow. State law, of course, it's really depends on what state they are in. But in terms of federal law for non-immigrant visa holders, they gotta either have a hunting license or a membership to a shooting competition. So USPSA membership definitely is a good exemption to purchase a firearm, do the FFL paperwork, or definitely it could be a hunting license. So when I first bought my firearm, I wasn't shooting any competition, so I had to go to the hunting license route, which in Washington State you have to like actually physically go to the hunting's ad. But nowadays they offer online courses, so you can just pay a couple bucks to watch a couple of videos and do the testing. Like, hey, you're not supposed to have muzzle onto the person or something you don't want to destroy, finger outside the trigger guard, kind of fairly easy stuff to get the hunting license. So once you get that hunting license or USPSA membership, now they have exemption to federal law. And you have to, of course, do research on the state law. Personally, in Washington State, I had to get a alien firearms license, which was also fairly easy. They required me to have either hunting license and USPSA membership or something like that. So I had a hunting license. I go to the sheriff's office and then give them my hunting license, my passport, and the visa, of course. And then they just fingerprint, similar process to concealed carry license in Washington State. So just paperwork and fingerprint, then you get that alien firearms license. And when you go to the FFL, you bring both your visa and hunting license. I mean, alien firearms license and hunting license, yes. And then you do the paperwork. Typically, you will get delayed for non-immigrant visa holders. Typically, I have had maybe like a day delay when nobody was buying guns. And it was 2014 when I tried to buy a gun when things were really bad at that time. 2014 was not a good year. I had like 10 or 15 days delay. So eventually you get it, but you get delayed longer than citizens or permanent residents. So that was my experience. But of course, like I said, you really need to study on the state law. So typically, if you're helping non-immigrants, you might want to direct to someone who's more knowledgeable. Maybe legal advisor is good. Of course, the information I said, it holds, what, 2020, something like that. So by the time you watch this, the law might have changed. But definitely it's possible. It's not that difficult if you just do the research. It's not that much paperwork than people might think. So it's pretty, in a way, it's easy to get a firearm through FFL, even if you are not here as a green card holder.
Mm-hmm. Well, Kim, let's just say we're glad you made it.
Thank you.
To citizenship.
Yes.
Good. Did you, does it matter that you got married? Like you married your way into it, or how did it work? I don't know.
So for citizenship, yeah, if you have a green card for 5 years, you can get a citizenship. That's eligibility.
But you being married was irrelevant.
Being married was relevant for green card.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I got married 2015, so I was waiting a little bit, do the study and learn about America, and then became one.
Oh.
Glad to have you, my American Korean brother.
Oh yeah.
All right, guys. The question I got, well, I'll just tell you, is essentially like, why are you guys talking about the USPSA politics stuff so much? Why? And I'll answer first because, that'll upset Joel the most, I think. For me, it's, well, number one, it's fun. I find it interesting and engaging. This is, it fits my field of study. Let me put it that way. But the reason for me, like, to get involved is this: I'm a very polarizing figure in USPSA. Of course, a lot of people hate me. Some people like me. But that gives me, this is going to sound weird, but it gives you a lot of power when you're, polarizing. Like having people hate you, it puts you in a position to kind of, again, this will sound weird, but you kind of control their actions. Well, I mean, really, their hate controls them, but you can kind of weaponize that hate. So it acts as, Joel, we've talked about this. It acts like a big signal booster. Mm-hmm. So it's like I can put out an idea or a concept, and it's like the people that hate me, they cannot help themselves.
They can't help themselves.
They can't. It's at least doubles my reach. So it's like the more fire I draw, I've been doing it enough, like for a long enough time, that I understand it in no way hurts me to have people hate me. It doesn't fucking matter. Like life is fine. No one really cares. It's not like I had people like trying to blow up my house or anything. It's just like, well, some people are nasty about you. Like, it doesn't really make any difference. And once you understand that, it's like you can weaponize that hate and use it as a signal booster. So I have a fairly unique advantage inside of the organization that it signal boosts the things I say. So I've decided to use that power for something positive, which has been entertaining. But Kim, you've been active on this too.
Yes. So basically, I mean, we live in a democracy. I don't know about outside the US, but in democracy, it's ran by people's participation. And once people's participation is gone, and also people's power is gone, the society, democracy is dead. Which also means the organization, government is dead. And again, like when I saw the new bylaws saying, hey, the new president has to be US citizen, things like that. Such things actually is representing, hey, this is American organization based on American values, which is one of them is democracy. So if people are not caring about
I didn't realize that was in the bylaws.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, you got to be US citizen to be the pres, things like that. And also voting too. If you are voting for the USPSA election, you have to be either US citizen or the permanent resident. So just by the fact the democracy system, like the members has to participate, otherwise the system is dead, the society is dead. Yeah. And also when the member loses power, and voting power it could be, or the voice heard to the leadership positions, if that dies, the organization dies, the system dies.
A lot of people, Kim, have been very upset about the bylaw changes, but since Matt's not on here,
Yeah.
he would be upset with me saying this in public. But I'm building a bonfire, and I need fuel. The bylaws changes are excellent fuel, so it's not all bad. You know what I mean?
I agree. Yeah.
You agree? I love that. Joel, I'm sure you have lots to add.
I'll add minimal. Well, I mean, it's having the podcast is good because researching everything on their own or for a member to, like scour the internet, try to find it all can be a little bit tough. So you do definitely signal boost places people can go if they want to check your sources or validate the information.
Well, it was nice having Phil on where I was amazed when he was saying in public he likes what we're doing. I was like, holy shit, Phil. That's amazing because it's getting people involved. Like, well, I was very complimented by that. I appreciated that, Phil.
No, and I don't engage that much because I mean, honestly, there's no need. You've already got it well covered. And I mean, real talk. Like if you look at like when they make a post on the USPSA page and they're getting so much hate mail and they're like literally, it looks like they're deleting comments as fast as people are posting, and you look like 30 minutes later and the posts are back and they're gone. I mean, I don't need to say anything. I'm already marked for death just by being friends with you guys anyway. But I mean, people can already tell what's going on. So I don't have the need to add to it.
I will say this, a lot of what I say on the podcast, it's like, it's not so much saying it's not so much like saying just what's true, but it's a lot of it's just like putting it out in the open. So one thing that people talked about a lot was the war declaration I did with Matt. I should tell you, on an interpersonal level between me and the board, Matt and the board, all these people, it didn't change fucking anything. That shit was already out. I mean, it was been full bore fucking war anyway. Like it was already a war. The war declaration was funny because it got other members involved. They got galvanized. It weaponized that hate. Like we got that hate train going. And then, I understand a lot of people look at them like, hey, that's unprofessional, antagonistic and all that. I understand that. But the antagonism for me is useful because we antagonize response from the establishment. So the war declaration got us the Bruce 1 memo and the bylaws changes, which is useful because it's like, if I'm saying, hey, this is a group of people, it's midwit cabal or BOC mafia, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Like this group of people is reacting to stop an unapproved person or unapproved people from getting power. And then I say these things, and then you see that group reacting to it. It is people like sit back and look like, oh, well, that's actually what's happening. That's actually true. Like the antagonism is important, and that's hard for people to see because it's like a lot of people just personality wise, they want to see harmony, and you don't really accomplish a whole lot in life without pissing off people occasionally. Anything else to say about that?
Dang.
Guys, it's a
Yeah,
real
people
cracker.
participate. People, members, USPSA members, participate in politics, participate in voting, and we for sure need a leadership that listens to the people, because again, our system that was successful so far in 220 something years, the American society and USPSA society, is based on people's participation and also the leadership that listens. Of course, there are times that leadership didn't listen, but eventually we always need to vote and get the right person on the leaderboard.
Yeah. Like, if I could piggyback on that, I'll actually talk for a second. Well, this has also been good about getting people active. I know, about looking at their area director or voting. I mean, like, real talk, Sherwin was my area director for apparently like 13 or 14 years.
Yeah.
Apparently they didn't have an election. I probably would have been a USPSA member when he got elected, or, when he got the position from Manny, whatever. No idea. No appreciation for how that process worked. No idea how long he was the area director. I didn't even realize they never had an election. So I think this has been good about making people like pay attention, look at the candidates, and if you're interested in this stuff, even if you're not going to go crazy or post memes on social media, at least pay attention to who's in office, who's running, what they're standing for, if you like them or not, and then like actually participate and vote is a good thing.
One thing I think people don't understand is like 95% of the people online are not commenting on anything. They just kind of read and like, they read and they watch, and people don't just, I mean, a lot of places, especially on Facebook, or a lot of personalities on social media, they try to like dominate the conversation. And well, let's say if you have it's really easy to have like a hug box or like a safe space on your Facebook page and like just talk amongst your friends. Mm-hmm. And you have a perception of like what other people think online, and it's like, it's not usually accurate. Like in large groups, people tend to be pretty good at sussing out what's true and making good decisions. Like shit, you look at the last two USPSA presidential elections, like, in fairness, being honest, Foley put out the best campaign in the first election. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He won. He deserved it. And the second time he was elected, he faced one opponent who essentially did not run a campaign. He came on our show. I interviewed him. Like, he did not, I'd learned my lesson from Foley. Like this, I'm like, this guy did not impress me. He did not earn my vote, so I'm not even going to endorse him. I'm not going to tell anybody to vote for him. And, rightly so, frankly, he lost against Foley. Rightly so. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Foley was already in office and far from perfect, but the guy who ran against him didn't offer anything. So who's going to fucking vote for that? Well, I mean, 35% of the members did put up a protest vote, but frankly, like, that guy didn't do it. He didn't deserve to win. Like, when you look at it like that, like, the members tend to make pretty good decisions in large groups. And as far like the only issue, as far as like what I'm trying to do, which is my objective is like very, very little bit from Hopkins. Like, I just want to build up the base of members who are active and looking at these things a little bit differently. And what I need is time. So like the longer that things play out, the better, as far as I'm concerned. Like I said, building a bonfire, you need fuel, you need time, and eventually you'll get a fire. Anyway, anything else to say, guys?
Yeah. I found something funny. People say, "Oh, I listen to people," or "Oh, I listen to what the internet says." Mm-hmm. A lot of people actually confuse hearing from listening.
Yes.
So, yeah, the USPSA members really, I would highly recommend people actually trying to actively listen and establish the communication with a member rather than, oh, I'm just going to sit here and then let you talk. I'm going to read it, maybe I'll hear it. That there's actually a big difference between actively trying to establish communication and actively listen. So
you are not wrong about that.
Mhm.
Active listening is good. So when you're actively listening, you're constantly evolving your own thoughts, your own position.
Mhm.
When people get to the point where they think they know everything, or I mean, what's way more common, especially in USPSA circles, it's very cliquey. People just go based on personality. They're like, hey, I don't like this guy, so fuck this guy that's associated with him. Or, they'll be like, hey, I don't like, this dude over here, so, whatever. I mean, they're very personality driven, and I think they don't think too much about how things look after that. So here's a good example. Like, you might notice that Matt Nash announced his candidacy, and oh boy, did he get shit on. He got shit on a lot.
Yeah.
But it's like the people shitting on him it's like, hold on, guys. If you really think about it, like if Matt Nash were in office, you could still shit on him and he's still going to listen to you, I think, because he's like really paying attention to what you're saying. So it's like, even Matt Nash, like, I understand you hate the guy, but even him being in office, it doesn't seem like it'd be bad for you, because you could still sit there and hate on him and clown on the guy, and he's still going to listen to you and like take on board what you're saying. Like, I'm not even sure it'd be bad. You know what I mean? Like, people don't, like, they just think like, oh, I hate this person, so fuck them.
Which along those lines, listeners, if you have a question you want the answer to,
shit. I'm
go to my website. It's bensteger.com. Send me your question. I'd love to hear from you.
I love Matt Nash, by the way.
And this is the part where Ben
great
has
listener.
to hit cancel because I can't
I don't really know the dude,
stop the recording.
Whatever.